the 19th century, zooming through time in AP history. Climb aboard, get ready to explore art and literature in AP history. We're traveling through time, start the countdown. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Everyone get ready to see transcendentalism. We will meet some painters like Charles Wilson Peale and Thomas Cole in AP history. But that's not all. Get ready to explore great American books and poems like Luther's Grass. Come on, let's go. Travel through time. Don't miss it in AP history. Yeah!
Welcome to Little Historians. I'm Anna.
And I'm Mariah.
And this week's topic is art and literature. We're going to be learning about Stuart, Peale, not that kind of Peale, Thoreau, and many more.
You will learn about transcendentalism and how many artists, painters, and poets helped shape modern-day art and literature.
So let's get started. So as far as artistic achievements, America was pretty much limited. I mean, we did have our buildings that were modeled after the Greeks and Romans. So shout out to the Greeks and Romans for being awesome. And then Thomas Jefferson. He was the most able American of that time to have like a vision. He modeled his home Monticello in a classical design. But painting? Oh, painting was a whole different story. It was kind of like a struggle because it was unappreciated and Puritans believed it as sinful and wrong, but really they were just party poopers. But there were some people who got their start, like Gilbert Stuart and Charles Wilson Peale, who kind of like painted pictures of George Washington and brought his character to life. What a nice man. So portrait painters as well struggled with the idea of keeping business going for them because Louis Daguerre invented the daguerreotype, which basically took their spot and captured the subject's image in a single time instead of spending hours and hours painting upon it. So painting was undergoing many more changes than we had ever thought. And not to mention music was also taking flight with Stephen C. Foster, who was writing hit song after hit song. But what was ironic about him is that he was a white man writing black music. And that's not something you see every day in that time period. Moving on to books, words, and all that good stuff.
Prior to the War of 1812, the only type of books out there were the Federalists and the Common Sense, so not much. After the war, it was kind of like an awakening and a surge of inspiration. A group of people known as the Knickerbockers from New York sparked a blaze for literature to match America's magnificent landscape. First up was Washington Irving. He was the first American to win international recognition as a literary figure, and he was basically the guy that got the ball rolling. His works included Knickerbocker's History of New York and the Sketchbook. We know he's a big deal because he's sometimes referred to as the first ambassador from the New World of letters sent to the Old. Next up was James Fenimore Cooper. Basically, his story is that he criticized the book and his wife challenged him to write a better one. And so he did. So basically, he can owe his whole career to his wife because, girls are better than men. Then there's William Cullen Bryant, skilled poet who wrote Thanopsis.
And the last section is Trumpeters of Transcendentalism. Basically, transcendentalism is a really big word for a simple concept. I mean, history loves to make big words out of small things, right? Right? Yes. Basically, they can be described as transcendentalists who were a group of people trying to break the mold of an old time. They were trying to define themselves religiously in spirituality and create a modern government. They fought for social reforms like women's rights and anti-slavery.
The best-known transcendentalist was Ralph Waldo Emerson. He was tall, skinny, but sure had a presence whenever he spoke.
His best-known address was The American Scholar, delivered at the Harvard College in 1837. The theory of books is noble. The scholar of the first age received into him the world around, wrote it thereon, gave a new arrangement in his own mind, and uttered it again. It came into him, life. It went out of him, truth. It came to him, short-lived actions. It went out from him, immortal thoughts. It came to him, business. It went from him, poetry. It was dead fact now. It is quick thought. It can stand, and it can go. It endures, it flies, it inspires, precisely in proportion to the depth of mind from which it issues. So high does it near, so long does it sing. Ralph Waldo Emerson. We are almost halfway through our special in art and literature, but before we go, we must talk about the one and only Henry David Thoreau. Now, Henry David Thoreau was Emerson's close associate, so that's where he got all of his skills and ideas and his start in all sense. And he was a poet, a mystic, and a very well-known transcendentalist and nonconformist. Fun fact about Thoreau, he was actually jailed for a night because he refused to pay his poll tax. And he's basically a badass and living on the edge. Thoreau's words actually would come to be used and expressed through the works of Gandhi and Martin Luther King and how they would change the world. So that concludes our first half of the special on art and literature. When we come back, Mariah will talk to us about writers and poems, so stay tuned.
Walt Whitman was a poet who loved America and the American people. He inspired many later poets, and Whitmanists came to describe the possibilities of American life and personal freedom. Walt Whitman is most known for his collection of poems called Leaves of Grass.
The collection started out as a financial failure, kind of like high schoolers today. The only enthusiastic reviews he got were 3 anonymous reviews written by himself. I feel like that's something Anna would do. However, the collection was revived and honored after some time and he received some fame.
Well, I guess it's good to know that my life won't always be this bad. Walt Whitman started from the bottom, but now he's here.
Started from the bottom.
Professor Henry Wadsworth Longfellow was one of the most popular poets ever produced in America. He was very well known, and he wrote many poems like Evangeline, the Song of Hiawatha, and The Courtship of Miles Standish. These poems were all based on American traditions.
John Greenleaf Winter was a less talented poet than Longfellow, but he was very important in influencing social action. His poems cried aloud against inhumanity, intolerance, and injustice. He was said to be the poet of human freedom, and he was kind of like the Gandhi of his time.
Other known poets were James Russell Lowell and Dr. Oliver Holmes. 2 women whose work is still popular to this day are Louisa Alcott, who wrote Little Women. I would probably be a good actress for that movie. And poet Emily Dickinson. Dickinson actually refused to have any of her poems published, but nearly 2,000 were after she died.
William Gilmore Simms was the most noteworthy literary figure produced by the South before the Civil War. His themes dealt with the southern frontier in colonial days with the South during the Revolutionary War. He earned the title of Cooper of the South. Edgar Allan Poe was an eccentric genius. He was orphaned at an early age and cursed with bad health. He even tried to kill himself, but he failed. He was a gifted lyric poet and wrote many well-known short stories like The Gold Bug and The Fall of the House of Usher. He wrote a lot of horror stories which readers found to be fascinating. And now I'm going to read a short excerpt from one of his well-known works, The Raven. Once upon a midnight dreary, while I pondered, weak and weary, over many a quaint and curious volume of forgotten lore, while I nodded, nearly napping, suddenly there came a tapping, as of some one gently rapping at my chamber door. "Tea is some visitor," I muttered, tapping at my chamber door. Only this, and nothing more. Nathaniel Hawthorne is most known for writing The Scarlet Letter, which describes the Puritan practice of forcing an adulteress to wear a scarlet A on her clothing. Wow. Some other known works of his were The Marble Faun, which explores the concepts of evil. Herman Melville is most known for writing Moby Dick, which is a story about the conflict between a whale and Captain Ahab and a great white whale named Moby Dick. Captain Ahab lost his leg to the whale and he lived only for revenge. In the end, the whale rammed into his ship, leaving only one survivor after the ship sank. Can you guess who it was?
Popular historians at this time included George Bancroft, William H. Prescott, and Francis Parkman. Francis Parkman had eyes that were so defective that he wrote in darkness with the aid of a guiding machine. He had an epic style of writing that expressed the struggle between France and Britain in colonial times for the mastery of North America.
Almost all of these historians came from New England. The New Englanders viewed unsympathetically to slavery in the South. It was said that the history of the United States had been written by Boston by a Southern historian, and he also adds, and largely written wrong. So that's nice.
So that concludes this week's topic on art and literature. Thank you for joining us. I'm Anna.
And I'm Mariah.
See you next week.
5, 4, 3, 2, 1. We're going on a trip in our favorite rocket ship, zooming through the sky. Little lights guide. Climb aboard, get ready to explore. There's so much to find. Little lights guide. We're going on a mission. Start the countdown. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Everyone to rocket, rev it up now. We're going on a trip in our favorite rocket ship.